Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. So on CookieCast, it's the football podcast. The guys are here, they're talking football, all games gone, all games to come, all the football news and everything football related that you could possibly want. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around, people. If you like the football, chances are you know like somebody who likes the football. And maybe they'll like this podcast. Send it their way. Find out. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, football podcast.
As I do a quick bit of rearranging of the set. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen.
Set of
to another week. Why is he interrupting my flow? My flow.
What's that? I mean, some people would say rearranging the set was interrupting your flow, but you know.
I was just thinking, that cushion's very prominent.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry.
It's a great start as always. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen, to another week. It was a football chat here at the CookieCast Podcast Network. And for those of you watching on YouTube, you'll notice it's not just myself and Mr. Woodmansey coming at you this week. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Moore joining us once again. How are we, sir?
Not too bad. Not too bad, yeah.
I believe that could be described. Well, it could be explained potentially by some of the games we're about to discuss. And what better place to start than with our first trip to the City Ground from week 33 to see Nottingham Forest versus FC Porto in the second leg of the Europa League quarter-final. Forest went into this knowing that they just needed a positive result and they would be into the semis. They got it, did they not?
They did. After the first leg where they did very little and Porto scored a worldie of an own goal. Obviously, Forest went into the home game just basically needing a win. Started off really nicely. Is it Bedenek from who used to play at Southampton? Decided that Chris Wood, you've been out for most of the season with a dodgy knee, but apparently it's fixed now. Shall we test that for you? After 8 minutes, and quite rightly received a red card. He seemed shocked that his got him a red card. Obviously, but also bad start. I think, no doubt. Well, yeah, you can confirm via the messages. I had a minor meltdown about it all. Because obviously Wood went off after that to get him checked over. And Forest, I think, like from what I listened to on the radio, it sounded like Forest dominated pretty much all of the game, and struggled to get the goals until Morgan Gibbs-White took a shot, just a slight deflection. And it nestled in the opposite corner to the goalkeeper, being as the goalkeeper had gone to his right and said deflection had taken it all the way over to the left-hand side of the goal. Forest played the game out. I think Porto grew into the game. I think they hit the bar a few times. Probably, on reflection, possibly deserved to win the tie, but they didn't. So, as it was preordained in the draw, however long ago, Forest have got Villa in the semi-finals starting a week tomorrow. To date the podcast, it's Forest's first European semi-final since 1984. So, and I'm going to say, one of you wasn't even born yet, and one of you was just about toddling around. I was 4. So, no, I wasn't 4. I was 2. So, sorry, I was 2. So I was toddling around. One of you had just about been born-ish. Maybe not.
No, not both of us. Neither of us were born. Just you kicking around as a spry 2-year-old.
Paul, can I just say, Matt's just returned to the podcast. Let's not give him a kicking about being the eldest on his first outing back, please.
I gave my own kick in that one.
I was going to say, if he's when he's brought it up himself, I was going to say,
Paul was barely a glint in his father's eye, or as it were.
Yes, my brother, on the other hand, will have been a spry 18 months at that point, or like 13 months, something like that.
That European semi-final is the infamous one against Anderlecht, where many years later it was found that the referee had been taking bribes to help Anderlecht get to the UEFA Cup final, as it was then. So
I see.
Bit of history on behind that one. Obviously it didn't come with its without its cost. Obviously, like I said, Chris Wood went off, was okay, played against Burnley. Murillo went off, also played against Burnley, but went off against Burnley, but obviously more about that later. However, biggest cost being Callum Hudson-Odoi, who has had season-ending surgery yesterday. A nasty tear of his quad, apparently, which is unusual. Normally it's hamstrings or calves. Quad is weird.
I swear to God, I thought you were going to say normally it's Triple H that does those sort of injuries and stuff like that.
That's safe for the other podcast.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so comes at a cost. I think surprisingly, the tickets are quite cheap. I think 45 quid for an adult, maybe 50 for an adult, which is definitely reasonable compared to
pretty reasonable. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And considering they were charging 70 quid for Mitiad in the group phases. Semi-finals, first leg at Forest next week, next Thursday, like a week tomorrow, and return leg the following week at Villa. We shall see about that one. I'm not.
Well, obviously they've had the recent game in the league where they drew, so taking that sort of as a cursor, I suppose you'd say neither side would be favoured, but we'll see when it comes to it, and you never know what happens in the intervening games in between. So a 1-0 Forest win with Gibbs White scoring the goal. I had gone for a 2-1 Forest win, but sadly I didn't have Gibbs White as one of my 2 goal scorers, so I just got the point for the Forest win. Stu also didn't pick Gibbs White as a goal scorer, but did have a 1-0 Forest win. So bags himself 2 points, me just having to settle for the 1 there. Second game took us to the weekend, and it was Saturday when Hull City were taking on Birmingham City. And I believe you would have been in attendance for this, front and centre.
Correct. Yep, we were there.
Do you wish that you weren't?
Well, we'll get to that.
No.
The game didn't really start overly well for Hull. Bearing in mind, really, at this stage, there was, 4 games left? Needing to win probably 2 from the 4 to secure the playoffs. They had a real big push on ticket sales again. They did like a package for these last 3 home games. Really big push. Stadium was pretty full. And I have to say, absolutely zero atmosphere. It was weird. Not really sort of what you want. Anyway, so the game didn't start very well for Hull. To absorb pressure for the sort of first 5 or 10 minutes from the off. The visitors, thankfully for us, couldn't make any of it count, but Hull didn't really touch the ball very much at all in that sort of opening period. They did, however, gradually grow into the game and were rewarded on 24 minutes with a goal. Referee Stephen Martin taking charge of his third Hull game this season. I still would like to know what the rules are because he was a prick in all three. He absolutely missed, on this occasion, he absolutely missed what was all but a handball by Crooks in midfield, who then laid the ball off to Miller to set off on a bit of a wiggly run down the left. Liam Miller's been very hot and cold, more cold than hot. And this sort of, at this point, you're thinking, you've made your run, you've got into the box, lay it off, lay it off, lay it off. It's been tackled. Luckily for us, the tackle went straight into the path of Joe Gelhardt, who turned and shot beyond the keeper with a little bit of a help from a deflection off the defender Newman. Not really much more action until after half-time. And Hull decided that we were going to take it a very uncharacteristic long throw. It turns out, with Olmo Balumi's injury time off, obviously not really been able to train legs, he's definitely been training arms. It caused havoc in the box. The keeper came out for it, completely missed it, but then, to his credit, did manage to get back up very, very quickly, make a close range save from Ollie McBurney. But then Birmingham mounted a bit of a fight back, and they did give Pandor some work to do, and he was forced into a save from Damari Gray around 70 minutes, and just 5 minutes after that, Birmingham unfortunately levelled. Iwata, firing home from 25 yards, top right, after an attack down the left. It was crossed in and headed back towards him, who then controlled the finish very, very well into the top corner. It was weird though, because we sit behind this goal, and it was one of them where sort of time seemed to stand still. The ball came in, the header went back to him, and as the header was played, we had two centre-halves bang in front of him. Exactly where the shot would have been. But I don't know if the momentum of the cross and then the ball going the other way confused both of them, but for whatever reason, they both just fell over. And it basically opened up a perfect goal-sized window for him. He had the pick of the net to shoot at. Pando didn't have a hope in hell with how well he placed it. So, yeah, very annoyingly, 1-1 on 77 minutes. Hull did have a chance to win it in the dying moments of the game. A looped cross fell to prolific strike. Oh no, wait a minute. Centre back Semi Ajayi, who was in the area, but he dragged his shot wide left. That now means no win in 4. At this stage, hanging on to the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. The only good news to come from this game was we got a few surprise returns which we weren't expecting. Giles, Matazo and Hirakawa were all on the bench after injuries. Giles and Hirakawa got the last 10 minutes of the game. You would expect that they will be quite heavily relied on, if they are fit now, for the last few games of the season. But yeah, 1-1 draw for Hull. And yeah, leads into the scores for Paul. What we got?
Well, neither of us had predicted a draw. So no points for the result. So we're reliant on goal scorers for points this week. I'd gone for a 1-0 Hull win. But I did have a Gelhardt goal as my goal scorer, so I got a point for that. Stuart gone for a 2-1 win, a Balumi and a Stansfield goal, but also a Gelhardt goal, so he does bag himself a point for the goal scorer. That's a point apiece, so two points to me so far, 3 points to Stu. Our third game of the week took us to Sunday, and what a couple of weeks ago was shaping up to be a automatic promotion shootout, it would seem, between Ipswich and Mylott Middlesbrough. However, Middlesbrough not winning in 6 games up to this point has kind of put the kibosh on the automatic promotion charge. And this one was not a sort of a dead rubber as such, but didn't have as much on it as it may have done going into it a couple of weeks back. And in not keeping with recent Borough games, it was actually Ipswich that seemed to have the better of the opening exchanges. They had the first big chance The guy playing up top, as on, fired wide after a good bit of work by Casey McAteer down the right hand side. His ball into the box. He tried to sort of flick it with his back heel, but got it all wrong and just put it wide in the post. Again, Ipswich had another chance when Azon, surprise, surprise, again as the main striker, was free inside the box. He took a touch. Dale Fry managed to get back in and deflect the ball wide, and then the tide switched somewhat as it was Borough who actually took the lead on the 25th minute. It was a nice one touch sort of like pass and move, little bit of play between Morris and Britton down the right hand side. Britton's pass into Morris was just sort of like flicked around the corner first time into the path of Alan Brown, and he just played the ball straight across the box, about 4 or 5 yards out. Strelic was there, couldn't really miss, just had to let it hit him and roll into the net for a some would say undeserved opener, but obviously Borough were doing the pressing and pulling the players out of position and managed to get the opening they needed to take the lead. It didn't last long, however. There were that was 25 minutes in, and on the half hour, Ipswich were level, and it was probably the best goal of the game so far. A lovely little through ball, like sort of dissecting the play from Darnell Furlong into the feet of the centre forward Azon. He did a lovely little back heel flick straight into the path of Casey McAteer, who didn't even have to take a touch. Just fired straight away first time, past the despairing dive of Sol Bryn down to his left-hand side. One more chance in the first half. Jaden Philogene out on the left-hand side, cut in and unleashed a drive towards the bottom left-hand corner of the goal. But Sol Bryn managed to get down smartly to tip it wide, and it did go in 1-1 at half-time. Into the second half. And it was Borough that were doing the pressing, trying to get the goal to take them back into the lead. Alex Gilbert had an effort cleared off the line from about 7-8 yards out. The ball sort of pinged around in the 6-yard box, and the keeper managed to sort of dive on it to take any danger away. Strelic once again was clean through and managed to fire straight at the goalkeeper. Azon did something similar down the other end, just outside the box, managed to fire it straight at the keeper, tipped over the bar by Sol Bryn. And then it was Borough that did take the lead again on the 64th minute. A nice run down the right-hand side from Callum Britton. Played the ball into Strelic, who returned the ball to Britton, who was down on the byline just inside the box. And it was basically a carbon copy of the first goal. His ball was pulled across into the path of Tommy Conway, who found himself about 3 yards out, couldn't miss, so just slotted home to make it 2-1 to the Borough. They could have made it 3 about 2 or 3 minutes later when Jeremy Sarmiento, on as a second half substitute, was about 20 yards out and managed to draw a good save from the goalkeeper down to his left. They should have made it 4, but they didn't even make it 3, so they should have made it 3 again. When Strelic drove through the middle of the park, his effort pinged about again, came back out to Malander in the end, and his shot was deflected wide by the defender. So Borough had a couple of chances to make the game safe, and as always, there's a sting in the tail. This one is deemed to be a bit of a controversial one. I don't see it that way, but I'll explain this in a minute. Quick ball in from the right hand side from Jack Clark. One of those ones that sort of cuts through the 6-yard box. The Ipswich player trying to get onto it, George Hurst, didn't look like he was ever anywhere near it, wasn't getting on the end of it. But Adelson Malander didn't know that and pulled him back, which obviously gives the referee all the options he wants in the world to be able to give a penalty, and give the penalty he did.
I watched it, and Hurst is quite clever because he slows down and backs into him a bit and puts his hand around him as well, and your defender also. But your defender was stupid. He just should not have laid any hands on him.
This is what I said at the time. I was like, honestly, people are going a bit sort of wild about it, saying, "Oh my god, it's never a penalty." Blah blah blah. It's such a disgraceful decision. No, 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 no. Don't pull him back, and the referee doesn't have to make that decision. So no complaints from me. Yes, it may have been a soft decision, but just don't do it. just think, and just back yourself out, or back the fact that the keeper might make a save, or like put the emphasis on the striker to have to work the keeper, but don't pull him back, and don't let the ref take take the option out of your hands. So yeah, penalty given, stuck on the spot by Clark, sends the keeper the wrong way, sits it straight down the middle. Game over. Well, not game over, but it was 2-2. A couple of chances, nothing major for either goalkeeper to have to save, and that's how the game finished. So 2-2 draw. Not catastrophic for Ipswich, as they've got a game in hand, but kind of was the result that Borough didn't need. They needed to really win to keep themselves in the sort of the hunt. They did still find themselves 3 points off the top off the top two. So mathematically it's not done, but with that Ipswich game in hand still being there, you'd think it's going to take a bit of something special to get them in the top two now. But listen, until it's over, it's not it's not mathematically done. So we'll see how we go. Predictions wise, it's our first blank of the week, as neither of us had a Borough goal, in the fact that we both had 2-0 Ipswich wins, and neither of us had McAteer or Clark as our goal scorers. I'd gone for Neil and Akpom, neither of which got on the pitch. Oh no, Dan Neil did, I think, and was booked within about 30 seconds of coming on. Shit bastard. Stuart gone for Mehmeti and Johnson. So it's 0 points from the Ipswich Middlesbrough game. So it's still 3-2 to Stu. Our fourth game of the week also took place on Sunday and saw Nottingham Forest taking on Burnley. And if we ignore the first half, this was quite the game.
Apparently, if you ignore the first 60 minutes, because they didn't have a shot on goal for 60 minutes.
Oh, good Lord.
So, yeah, kind of one of those ones where it's got to win this one, and everyone's like, oh, no, you can never say that you've got to win one. No. This one is a definite got to win one game. And Forest decided to use the first half as a practice match, a little bit of a warm-up. And then, obviously, in added time, Milenkovic kind of misdirects a header. Burnley break quite quickly into the box. It gets played across, and I forgot to get the the guy's name. One of their players just stuck it in the back of the net.
Zian Fleming.
That's it, Fleming. Cue boos at half time as the team goes off, and a lot of disgruntlement. Unfortunately, so obviously with Callum Hudson-Odoi, Dylan Bakwa started, and confidence being shot is an understatement. He was terrible. He's really rapid, but just hasn't got the confidence to go and beat his man, which he 100% could do. He just literally needs to knock it past him and then run around him. He's that quick.
I don't understand, because he just seemed to run himself into cul-de-sacs all the time. He was, the amount of times he was running directly at a player to put himself in danger, as opposed to trying to take it to the side of him. Yeah. I just didn't get it. It's just weird.
He is the main victim of Sean Dyche. I think he's been the one whose confidence has been absolutely crushed by that person being manager. Luckily, so at half time, he was taken off with Igor Jesus coming on, and they kind of went to a 4-4-2 type thing, with Gibbs White being on the left and Hutchinson on the right. And it eventually paid dividends. Like I said, about 62 minutes, 63 minutes. Again, Milenkovic making up for it. Decent header. back into the box, flicked on by I think James Ward-Prowse. If by checking his number, to Gibbs White, who took a touch and stuck it in the back of the net, leveled it up. 4 minutes later, so yeah, it must have been 62. Then it was 66. The second goal. Again, Hutchinson did what we said Bakpor should do: get to the byline, crossed it in, and a really nice volley from Gibbs White to finish that one off. And then 77 minutes, I think 76 minutes. Ryan Yates goes down the right, gets to the byline. The defender just shows him a really nice. He's like, here's the perfect gap to cross it in. To which he then crosses it into Gibbs White about the penalty spot, a little bit behind it. Guides the header just like perfectly in between the keeper's gloves and the post for a hat trick.
You know those goals where like you literally couldn't have picked the ball up and placed it any more accurately where it needed to go. It was definitely one of those.
Away. It's like
and it was one of those
on a golf shot or something like that.
Yeah, it was really weird because I don't know if you felt this, but it almost felt like it went in slow motion because it just seemed like to sort of like hang in the air for ages and then eventually did go in.
It made me laugh because people are like, I'm surprised Gibbs White scores a goal like that. He has quite a lot of chances arriving late with a header, and he's got quite a good leap on him for a guy that's not like really tall. So yeah, 3-goal, first career hat trick, all that kind of thing. And then in added time, Jesus got his first Premier League goal at the City Ground, which kind of tells another story of kind of why Forest are where they are. But like a really good run, and as someone said, it's the first time that they've seen Kyle Walker outpaced, and it kind of sums up why he's not playing for England/Man City anymore. And he just slotted it into the back of the net. Yeah, really massive turnaround. Maria went off injured. Not quite sure how bad it is. They seem to be quite confident that it's not too bad. But Jai Cunha came on and started to fulfill the potential that he came to Forest with. And that side, yeah, done. 3 points. Nice, healthy goal difference. And yeah, kind of job done, really, with a bit of cherry on top.
Yes, absolutely. Always handy to get the old goal difference a boost. I would think at this time of the season as well. It's points galore, ladies and gentlemen, as we both had a Forest win. I went 2-0 with Gibbs White and Anderson. So I got myself a point and a bonus point for one of the Gibbs White goals. Stu went for 2-1 with Wood, Gibbs White, and Fleming. So 3 points for Mr. Woodmansey there. Very, very nice indeed. Our 5th game of the week takes us to the King Power Stadium, where Leicester City were taking on Hull City. Leicester went into this knowing they needed to win the game to stand any chance of not being relegated, whereas Hull went into this knowing that if they could get 3 points, it would further their grip on the last remaining playoff spot in 6th. Neither side got what they wanted.
Well, we'll get to that. And as well, just to add into the mix, we are approaching the 10th anniversary of Leicester City winning the Premier League. If I hear that one more time this week, let's not go into teams living on past glory, shall we? Liverpool, Sheffield Wednesday, anybody that was big in the late 80s, early 90s. No, Paul is exactly right. It was the first. They needed to win, and only a win would do for Leicester, so they would avoid relegation to League One. I think it's something like for the first time in like 42 years or something they were on about. It's a long time, long time.
Leicester. No, Leicester have been Leicester were in League One in like 2009.
I know they were on about something about 42 years. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, things didn't start very well either for the home side. started fantastically for Hull. When goalkeeper Asmir Begovic, who must be at least 300 years old by now, passed the ball straight to Liam Miller, right on the edge of the area. Two covering defenders did get across to him and proceeded to do the grand sum of jack shit. They left a perfect corridor for Liam to curl the ball between them into the right-hand side of the net to finish. But then, we're spotting a pattern here. Not much has happened at this point until after the break. So it's like the last few Hull games, not just on this podcast, but on the one before, it's been a frantic 10, 15 minutes one way or the other, and then a goal happens, and then nothing happens until after half time. Well, it was the exact same case again. Hull was still leading right up until a really absolutely manic 92-second period of the game where Leicester decided to try and turn the relegation tide. Leicester won a corner on around the 50-minute mark. It was played to the edge of the penalty area, and Kumas decided he was going to close down Fatawu and then clip his ankles. Thanks for that, mate. Yeah, really, really, really well done. Conceding the penalty, of course. Jordan James converted the penalty to level. And with the very next attack of the game, within that 92-second period, Thomas converted from De Cordova-Reid's cross in from the right. So the survival push was on for 9 minutes. Within this time, Sergei Yakirovich picks up another red card of the season. So, keeping those booking points ticking and ticking and ticking for Hull. Apparently over-protesting about the penalty award. Been and gone by then, mate. Just, you've been in football long enough to know. Just let it go now. Anyway, Miller causing some problems down that left-hand side again. Another mazy run. This time, managed to get into the box and not get tackled. But he actually set up Ollie McBurney, who had a couple of seconds to pick his spot and drilled it to his left, keeper's right. So, 2-2. However, Leicester did have chances to win the game, and they even hit the post very, very late on. Forced another couple of saves from Pando as well, but it just wasn't to be. As Paul said earlier, a draw was not good enough for either side, particularly for Leicester, who are now confirmed as relegated, but also very disappointingly for Hull, as during the time that game was played, Wrexham went to Oxford and won 1-0, and the combination of the two results sees Hull slip out of the playoffs on goal difference with 2 games to go.
Not ideal at all. Stuart gone for a 1-0 Hull City win with a Crooks goal, so sadly no points for him. I went for a 1-1 draw in this one. Didn't have any of the goal scorers. I had Daka and Crooks, so I just get a 1 bonus point for the draw. And we'll finish off with the game that has only just finished very, very recently, which was my lot against Sheffield Wednesday. Again, Borough went into this knowing they needed a win, and then just hope that things go well, and they might be able to keep in touch with the top 3, with the top 2. They got a gift 11 minutes in, as Sheffield Wednesday were pissing about with it at the back. Played it back to the goalkeeper. Morgan Whitaker was alert, popped in, took a touch, took it around the keeper, stuck it in. Happy days. The rest of the game, I can't really tell you much about because nothing really happened. An awful lot of to-ing and throwing, not a great lot of quality. Borough just seemed very, very nervous. Obviously, they've not won in 7. A lot of chances, so many. The worst was one where Cali Sen was clean through. All he had to do was take a touch, send the keeper the wrong way, and just put it in the other side. And he basically just passed it back to the keeper. Just a literal 1-on-1, and he fluffed it. But Borough did hold on and got a 1-0 win. So they've broken their streak of not winning. So they have now won for the first time in 8 games. And it does keep them 3 points from the top of from the top 2. So they are technically still in it with 2 games to play. That could still be up for debate after this weekend, but we'll wait and see. Stuart gone for a 2-1 with Conway, Brown, and Lowe to score the goals, so just gets the point for the result. I went for a 1-0 win, but I didn't pick Whittaker as my goal scorer. I picked Sarmiento, so 2 points for that, which does mean that after the 6 games have all been completed, I had 7 points from those 6 games, and Stu had 7 points from those 6 games. So it's another shared result. Well done, Mr. Woodmansey. Well done, Mr. Williams. Pats on the back all round. Week 34 brings with it 3 games, 1 per team. We're going to step away momentarily and have a quick break, and then we'll come straight back at you with Sunderland versus Nottingham Forest as our first game from week 34. Don't go anywhere. And just like that, we are back. And like we said, 3 games to go through to predict for week 34. And the first of which is a Friday night game. But it's not in the Championship, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Friday night Premier League fixture. I don't think we've seen one of these for Forest yet so far this season. We've seen plenty of Thursday night games, but not a Friday night fixture. This is unheard of. Sunderland versus Nottingham Forest. Obviously, it's Mr. Mo's team, so he will give his prediction last. As I've got it open in the book in front of me, I'll open us up this week. I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this one. I've gone for Enzo Lefebvre to score for Sunderland. And as it's the North East, I've gone for Elliot Anderson to score. I like it. I like it very much. Stu?
Any massive injury news that I need to know about, Matt, before I embarrass myself here?
Just Hudson-Odoi. That's the only one.
Okay, cool. Because I too have got Lefebvre to score for Sunderland, and then I thought, who would score for Forest? And I thought Anderson would.
2-1.
Exactly right.
Lovely. I'll take that. 1-2. Just takes us over to yourself, Mr. Moore. How do you see this one playing out for the lads?
Yeah, I can't get a handle on Sunderland. Sometimes they look absolutely amazing, and then sometimes they look absolutely awful. And I couldn't make it out.
What do you mean 4-3 against Villa at the weekend?
It was insane. That was them in a game. Like literally them in a game, absolute insanity. I've gone for a 2-2 draw.
Desmond, lovely.
Yeah. And they don't score many goals at home, but then that's what every Forest podcast I've listened to this week has said. And I'm like, well, that's definitely going to change now.
6-6 draw incoming.
just 2 each. I've gone for Broby. Is it Broby?
Broby, yeah.
And Isidore, because we were linked to him in January. So that always works out well for you.
Yeah.
And I've gone for two obviously 2 goals for Forest. I've gone for Wood and Anderson as well, ex-Newcastle players scoring at Sunderland.
Yeah.
And we haven't kind of touched upon it, but obviously Elliot Anderson's mother passed away. That's why he didn't play against Porto. Sunderland fans are shitty fans. No doubt some twat will mention it at some point because that's the kind of scumbags that they are. And
yeah.
So
I really hope not. But I'd like to think that everyone's better than that. But
the unfortunate thing is,
we've danced this particular jig before, haven't we? So
at least one of them. At least one person isn't. and the ridiculous way that, I mean, I know it goes on throughout the country, but definitely the way these two stupid clubs go on about each other up here. That you know that one of them will have had too much to drink, because no doubt they will have been out on the sauce all day because it's an 8 o'clock game, and no doubt they'll say something. So hopefully it doesn't happen, because it's like there's some things that you don't cross the line with, but I kind of get the feeling that somebody will do. So 2 each, and Wood and Anderson. Hopefully.
Yes, fingers crossed. So, second game takes us to Saturday afternoon, 12:30 kickoff. And it's at the Valley for Charlton Athletic versus Hull City. It's Mr. Woodmansey's team, so he will give his prediction last. We'll go straight back to Mr. Mo for his prediction on Charlton versus Hull.
I've gone for a 2-1 Hull win.
Lovely.
For Charlton, I've gone for Février.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that, Matt. It sounded like you sort of had to blow your nose at the same time as giving me your goal scorers. So is it what?
Février. Where's number 77? Which is insane.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Jayden Février. It's all right, though, because he was outdone tonight when Lyndon Dykes came on wearing 99.
There are only 2 players in the entire Football League who wear the number 99, and the other one plays for Crawley. Big time ballers at Crawley, if you can be like, I'm having 99 on my shirt, boys.
So Février for Charlton, your 2 Hull goal scorers, unless you've got a brace for somebody.
I've got Miller and Kumas.
Lovely. I'm in agreement. I too have gone for a 2-1 away win. I've gone for the old boy rule, and I was kind of vindicated because he actually scored tonight for Charlton, which I thought was very nice of him to keep himself in the public eye. So I've gone for Greg Doherty to score for Charlton, and then I've gone for a Gelhardt McBurney double. Well, not double, because that would be 1-4. Mr. Woodmansey, how do you see it going? I will point out at this point that Charlton do go into this knowing that they are not mathematically safe, but a point will do.
Exactly. In a game that we're going into having seemingly forgotten how to win, teams that have set up to stifle have succeeded remarkably well. I think that from experience, we never really seem to do particularly well when things are in our own hands. We always have to get to this stage where, like, we end up relying on other results. And I mean, a fair play to City that we've now managed to get into that situation with 2 full games to go rather than just the last game of the season. I think it'll be 1-1. I have got Mr. 99 himself, Dykes, to score.
Okay.
And McBurney for Hull. He seems to, last couple of games, have really just sort of been in the right place at the right time again. Started to really pick up the work rate, which, to be honest, he hasn't really stopped working. But the poor guy just looked absolutely knackered. Was in that Birmingham game by then. Was chatting with Max, actually, of Wrestling Podcast fame earlier today, and he thinks that the mistake or one of the mistakes that's possibly been made this season was letting Destan go out on loan, because he's a very similar style of player, and particularly in the home stretch of the season now, could have done with him to sort of, if they want to keep the style the same, fine, but it would have been a fresh pair of legs in the same vein. I'd like to see him win a header. that would be something I would like to see in this game, because he's one of them big strikers that tend to lump the big sort of goal kicks up towards, and he does the token thing where his heels slightly leave the ground but his toes never do.
I didn't know if you were going to give that thing where he basically jumps up but stoops, so he basically loses height from a jump, which is always
No.
funny. Like Crouch used to be absolutely like worldy at be able to do that. Started off 6'7", yet he's 6'2" when he goes for an header. Just makes no sense whatsoever.
But yeah, I've got 1-1 draw with Dykes and McBurney for me.
Mm. A point wouldn't be disastrous, but
It
obviously
all depends on the Wrexham result.
Yeah, so Wrexham play Coventry, I believe, but
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it on the list. They must play them on Sunday.
They do play on Sunday, and also as well though, Coventry are also already confirmed as champions, so they're not in that position where they're going to be able to set any kind of record or anything like that, are they? So,
No.
like, really, do they care? We'll find out Sunday.
Yeah, what I did see that was quite funny and quite sort of tongue in cheek was that Rob Mack had put out a tweet saying congratulations, obviously to Coventry and well done on getting promoted to the Premier League. Out of the goodness of our hearts, myself and Ryan Reynolds would like to pay for an all expenses paid trip to Las Vegas. You do have to go now, and you're not allowed to come back until the early hours of Saturday morning / Sunday evening or something like that. And it was a very sort of tongue in cheek sort of. Can you just go and get absolutely smashed, lads? and we'll see you at the weekend. It was quite funny. Yes, like I say, it'll all be dependent on how the Wrexham game goes. But Wrexham's last game of the season is at home to Middlesbrough.
Yeah, I know, that's why we have to win this weekend, really, but we'll probably end up drawing.
Cheeky bastard. Cheeky bastard. Hey, listen, obviously, I think come the final whistle on Saturday for the next game we're about to discuss, as I drop my pen, Borough will either be level on points with the other teams that are in and around them, 3 points behind the teams or they should know really what they're aiming for on the last game of the season come the end of this game. So, unfortunately, I do think there is a possibility that if they still can't, if they're not able to get in the top two, I think they're going to rest loads of players. Because anyone who's carrying a knock or just needs a rest, who hasn't had who's played a lot of games, I would be very surprised if he doesn't put out a weakened side. I know that sounds shit and stuff like that, but obviously, if they're at a point where they can go up automatically, they've got to prioritize. And yeah, obviously, this will be discussed on next week's podcast once we know the results that have come in. But hopefully, Hull will have got the win and can, put themselves back in the driving seat. Which takes us to our last game, which does see my lot taking on Watford at 12:30 in the Championship. And for only the third time this season, second at home, I will be in attendance for this one. So I've picked the best game of the season to go to. The second to last game where they'll probably do shit all and absolutely count themselves out of the automatic race. But we'll get to my prediction at the end. Obviously, it's my turn, so I'll go last. So we go back to Stu for his prediction on Borough versus Watford.
Paul, what happens when you go?
Well, it depends. The Riverside, not great things. Hull.
Okay. Okay, what happens when you go to the Riverside? More specifically, what happened the last time you went to the Riverside? What was the score?
It was 0-1.
Right, stick that in the book then.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And Mendy
Goal
to score.
scorer?
Mendy.
Lovely
And the
stuff. Matt?
reason why I picked that, by the way, is because that the score was the score when you saw Middlesbrough Hull there, and we used to have a
Yes.
player called Mendy. So
Yes, I have seen a player called Mendy score against Borough whilst playing for Hull. So that was nice. Matt?
I've gone for a 2-1 Borough win.
Goal scorers?
Strelic and Whittaker. Borough.
Yeah.
And then for Watford, I picked this guy because it just cracked me up. His initial is O, so it's Oh Mama.
I think he played last night against West Brom.
He absolutely did.
So
That's where I saw it in my research.
I have seen his name pop up. Othmane, Mama, lovely, Ma. I've gone optimistic, which almost certainly means that this won't happen. But I'm same as Matt. I've gone for a 2-1 Borough win. I have also gone for a Whittaker goal, and I've also gone for Brown to score. He seems to have been popping up in and around the box recently. And then I've gone for Keremgard to score for Watford. The one thing that does fill me with absolute dread and no confidence whatsoever is the fact that Watford are also in a string of horrible, horrible form. So haven't won in at least 6. So I think we all know what's happening there. Although to be fair, I did see that Sheffield Wednesday hadn't won in 36 games or something similar to that prior to them playing against the Borough tonight. So I was like, wow, obviously we know what that means. But Borough did manage to hold on, so not the end of the world. So you have it. 3 predictions done. That means the end of the podcast for that particular aspect. But, Mr. Woodmansey, I believe you had another meeting of the first teamers of sorts last week.
wasn't so much a meeting. Obviously, we've talked on the podcast about my boys have been lucky enough to get picked out to go and do some of the activity days. Well, this time it was the turn of the adult season ticket holder in the house. I got picked out to go and spend an evening playing darts with some members of the first team, which was different. Don't really play darts very much. Play darts in the garage with my lads, and that's about it. But turned up. It was like the virtual darts thing. So not knowing who was going to be there.
Oh, is this as in the augmented reality darts?
Yeah. So we played a few different games, but turned up. It was at Tap House on Humber Street in Hull, so nice enough venue. And we got there, and there was 4 lanes, and there was one first teamer on each lane. So in my group, we got Dylan Phillips, who yes, he is a first teamer, but he is the reserve goalkeeper. Just to compound his misery, they also sent the guy who keeps him out of the team on a regular basis in Ivor Pandor. Neither of them dropped their darts, which you'll be amazed to hear. We also got Amir Hadzimetovic and Cathal McCarthy, who Paul will know very well from his games against the Borough this season. But yeah, it was a good night. All the players were mega chatty. So I was in the group with Dylan Phillips. He pretty much hosted. Really, he kept setting the games up for everybody, making sure everyone was all right, having a good laugh and stuff, and was quite happy to chat as well. He told us towards the end quite a fun story about his career because people were asking him about stuff. And ironically, as we predicted the Charlton game this weekend, he spent a bit of time at Charlton. Grew up around that area, came through from London anyway. But he was saying that he got signed to play in the Belgian Pro Leagues for Ostend. So obviously away from home, everything's a little bit different. And it took him 8 or 9 games to get into the side under the manager there at the time. So the pressure from his family about when they could come and see him play was kind of building and building and building. Anyway, finally got the nod in enough time to arrange for pretty much his entire family to be there. Within the first 5 minutes of the game, his defenders kind of let one go and a ball comes bouncing through to the edge of the area. And as he goes to clear it, he said his foot went kind of over the top of the ball and straight through the attacker. At which point, that was the point he remembered that VAR was present in the in the Belgian Pro Leagues. But it does have a happy ending because, fortunately, the referee booked him, didn't send him off in the end. but he said, I won't use the exact words that he used, but let's just say it was touch and go for a minute. But yeah, it was good. It was real good fun, and like I say, real chatty. Happy to like take pictures and stuff as well, and just generally just prattling about. But the club had organised it so like in each group, whoever finished like the top scorers overall in the different variations of the games got like a little trophy. I'd love to be able to show you my trophy, but as I am shit at darts, that absolutely was not me. But yeah, it was good fun. Like, and it's nice that they do stuff. I think, given the timing of, shall we say, performance drop-offs, and maybe, I think there may be questions asked about the timing of when they do these sort of things, maybe in future. Because why are we doing these kind of activities towards the run-in? But in essence, for my group, the reserve keeper's not going to really affect that much anyway, is it? So
it's only, I suppose it's only one night, and like it's not as if they were getting like tanked up and stuff, is it? Or like having like cheeseburgers and
one of my favourite points in the night was when the players were sort of talking to as a group, but also with like the people who were playing, and one of them had said, "Oh, we thought it would be really busy tonight getting across town because there's rugby on at the stadium." And one of the other players said, "Yeah, our stadium." To which one of the members of the public with me was like, "It's Hull FC, mate. The traffic's not going to be that bad."
Ouch. Well, that's what happens when you're the second most successful club in your own city.
Well, third if you count in football and rugby. I mean, if you count in ice hockey, they're nearly fourth.
Oh God, let's not pull at that thread. Netball, basketball, lacrosse, organised shinty. Basically the teams are endless. But yeah. Well, very nice. Like I say, it's always the Hull do seem to do an awful lot of these things. I mean, I'm pretty sure Borough probably do them, but by the fact that I don't live in Middlesbrough, I would never find out about things like this. So
yeah, I mean, they absolutely don't have to do any of it at all.
No, absolutely not.
But they do, and it's really appreciated. So it was good.
It's very, very, very nice indeed. So you haven't enjoyed that. Brings us to the end of another week. Obviously, very nice to have Mr. Moore back with us this week. Hopefully, I don't know if he'll be joining us again next week, but fingers crossed, we'll be able to get through between now and the end of the season. Oh, actually, I was about to say something has just popped up on the TV as I was wrapping up there, and obviously, it reminded me of another thing that's happened today. Obviously, last night, to date the podcast, Chelsea lost their sixth game in a row without scoring, which was the first time they'd done so in the top flight since 1912.
Oh God!
Which is very impressive. And as a result of it, unfortunately, today they have had to part ways with manager Liam Rossignol. Now, as seems to be the Chelsea way, any signing they make, be it playing staff or indeed coaching staff, they seem to put them on these ridiculously lengthy contracts, which I believe the Derby method would mean that they can amortize the money or something like that. Or that's how Uncle Mel used to describe it, wasn't it?
It's a weird one because obviously they do it with that because it means you stretch the fee that you pay for the player over that contract. I don't know how much they paid for Liam Rosenior that required him to have a 6.5-year contract.
Well, as he
that
came
needs
from
to be
like one of their
stretched over
feeder
that
clubs,
time.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been that much of an issue, but I suppose maybe they're just keeping the contract in line with sort of like the structure that they're going for now. But you can probably read into the fact that if they haven't a stretched contract over a long period of time, it just completely, again, is another way of lending towards bending the rules that they put in place for these kind of things.
Whoa, you're not suggesting that they're cheating there, are you, Stuart? Interesting. But one interesting thing that I did see on the social media was a tweet that was reposted, which said the following: Liam Rosenior was sacked by Chelsea with 96% of his contract time remaining. 74.5 months out of 78. Still, he lasted 15,264 times longer than his dad Leroy at Torquay United in 2007. He was appointed 10 minutes before the club was taken over and then sacked. That is absolutely incredible. I believe that I'd be very surprised if there was a shorter head coach tenure in the UK game. Not even 24 hours. Not even an hour.
No.
With Liam though, I do think that like there's an element of like why bother with the half year on that contract in that regard? Because
well, I'd imagine it'll be because he was appointed halfway through the season, so it'll be like that'll get him to like July or June or whatever.
They could have just saved themselves 3 months off it if they'd have put like 5 years and 3 months. They'd have been all right.
Let's be honest. They should have just given him a 6-month contract.
They went game by game, surely, because they.
Well, yeah.
But apparently, part of the reason why they've been able to do this is that it had a break in the contract where you say that kind of thing, so they don't have to pay him as much.
Yeah, that was what I was just about to say as well. Basically,
as it's known
the phrasing of the contract,
a 3-month probation.
Well, yeah, I mean, like essentially, that's basically what they've done, isn't it? They've obviously done his performance review and said,
"Computer says no."
Let's be honest, Liam. It's been an absolute fucking disaster. So why don't you? We'll give you some pennies. You go and sort of have like a nice time on a coaching course or something like that. Get some more quotes for your Bible and stuff like that, and we'll see you again in 2 years or something like that.
I do feel like he's been done like a little bit harshly. Obviously, as the former manager of my team, like he's very well thought of on these parts. Obviously, because he was a former player, part of the promotion winning squad and all that business. So he is very well thought of around these parts. I think personally, it's kind of put it this way: like he's very stubborn with regards to his sort of methods, and he's now had 2 jobs in English football that have ended where he's had a bit of a falling out with the board, and there is a common denominator, is all I would say.
I always think it's weird when these managers come in and say that they won't deviate from their system, and it's like, right, I get that you like have principles or whatever, but just saying that you'll flat out refuse to play a different system is just stupid. It's like if you play a system that someone knows that you play, surely that's the easiest thing to set up to defend against, or attack against, depending on which way you want to look at it.
It just bothers me because they might as well come out to the public and say, "I've got no plan B."
Yeah. Well, I had this conversation with a Leeds fan a couple of years ago because it was obviously when Bielsa was there, And it was the argument they had was, it's unbelievable, it's amazing, it's the best football we've ever played. But when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. And it was like, what do you mean? It was like, well, you don't have a plan B. He just says, if plan A isn't working, do plan A better. And it's like, that's literally
it's insanity.
That is insanity. Yeah, I mean, like, you can't say any other way. But I just think it's like that's the reason why Amorim didn't work at Man United, because he was so steadfast in that. I won't change from this system. I can't change from this system. That's my fault. Like, that's my philosophy. That's my format. Blah blah blah. And then obviously, like, I think he did change it for a couple of games, and they actually won the games, which didn't help him and stuff like that. And then obviously he's gone. But yeah, it's just very strange for me that these managers have this like steadfast nature and they won't change, and it just seems very very backwards. You have to be tactically flexible. That's the nature of the game.
Mm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where Chelsea go next, because obviously they'll employ someone on a massively long contract, and then they'll have to pay him off when inevitably they sack him in about 8 months' time.
No, the irony is now they won't. They'll employ somebody on game to game to take them to the end of the season, and they'll end up doing all right, and then they'll end up putting them on a massive contract, and then the same thing will happen again in about 3 months into the new season.
Well, yeah, it did get me wondering if it's the first time in like football history where more than 2 clubs have sacked multiple managers in the same season, because that's 3 now. That's who is it? Forest, Spurs, and Chelsea. And obviously there was a point where it looked like West Ham might go twice as well. So you almost had 4 clubs that binned off 2 managers at least during the season. So
if he can resynchronize himself, Frank could have another go when Coventry bin him off.
Well, someone jokingly said, "Well, Coventry are up now, so can he not just go and do a job at Chelsea for the last 5 games or something like that?" Which is always quite funny.
Well, based on his previous experience, no.
Well, his stints are getting shorter each time, aren't they? So he's probably due like a 3 to 4 game run next, and then he'll come back, no doubt. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is us done and dusted for another week. As I've said, thank you to these boys for joining me to go through the details of their team's ins and outs. Join us again next week when we'll go through those results, and we'll look forward to what is the last games of the season. For now, for Hull and Middlesbrough and Forest going into the first leg of their semi-final against Aston Villa. Join us again in a week's time, and it's tatty bye for now.
So there you go, what do you think to that? Another one done, another one gone. Thanks to the guys for bringing all the football goodies. Thanks to you for tuning in and listening or watching. Obviously, we're on YouTube, so you can see lovely smiling faces if you want to go that route. Or just listen to us in your ears. That sounds strange. Anyway, before you leave us, if you haven't already, like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Share the podcast around. Obviously, that's the one it's the one we like the most. Share it around. Get it out there in the world. Check out our website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button. And that way you can get in touch with us. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to these grumpy old men talk about football. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.